Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I tinker with throughout the day. For step-by-step detailed instructions of those tasks, you can click on the links in the comment section below. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. This video also has tips and tricks that I've learned over the years. So, thank you very much for watching. Getting ready to cut the brake reservoir nipple on this 94. It looks like it has a break off pin on it. So I'm going to break that off with needle nose pliers. See if fluid start coming out. Jam the hose on there. This is how you bleed the clutch, people, the easy way. Christopher Batiste on the job. Pump that thing. It pumps in there. Comes out of the clutch slave cylinder and into the catch bottle. EPA approved. Kicking off the morning with this dirty S60. I think it's a 07. It needs control arms. Got the parts here. My understanding is the toughest part of this job is getting the ball joint pressed into the arm. So we're going to work on doing that, then swapping it on the vehicle, and hopefully have a good DIY video for you. First thing I do when the car is still on the ground, I break the lug nuts loose. Then I jack the car up. I support it on the jack stand there. I take the wheel off. Now I hit that 18. Get your ABS sensor and get your caliper out of the way. Alright. My ball joint bolt's turning, so I put an 8 here and that boxed in on there. Mine's a 17. Hold this, get it loose that way. You can see there how that bushing is tearing on that control arm. About 130,000 miles. Next, I got these two nuts off of the strut. Then I'm going to remove the nut down here for the lower ball joint, and once that's out, I'm gonna pull these two bolts out, lift the knuckle up and away from the car. The nut on the bottom of my ball joint is an 18. It started spinning, so I had to hold it with a T30. The head of this bolt is an 18. The nut on this bolt was a 21. Now that the screws out of the ball joint on the bottom, I'm going to pull these two screws here, holding this up, and I'll let this drop away from the strut. Once I pull this bolt out, and with one hand, I'll be holding on to the CV axle. After you get this away from the CV axle, you may want to support the CV axle off of the strut springs like you did the caliper, so that the CV axle's not flopping around or pulling out. You don't want to damage that. When I pulled the CV axle out of the knuckle, I see this thing here flopping around. I believe it's just a little dust ring spacer. Don't want to lose that. Put it back on the way it came off when you put this stuff back together. Once I pulled the knuckle away from the strut, the rest of this dust shield, I guess, came off, torn up. Don't know if there's anything you can do about that. So, anyway, I got this out. This should lift up and off like that. Now for the tough part, you take these two bolts out, and you got to get this ball joint out of this knuckle here. So let me finish getting this control arm off. I got an 18 there and two bolts on the other side of the A-frame there, and then I'll have this off, and then I'll take that off of the control arm, put it on the new one. Alright, so that's the control arm, and that's the tear in the bushing there. So that's how you know when you need them replaced. Picked up an inexpensive air hammer, a lot cheaper than an hour labor at the shop. Low vibration design. And then you buy your bits, put this thing on here like that, Might need to hold it with 2 hands. So let me hold it and do that. Get this thing out of here. This little air hammer deal knocked this out in 45 seconds. Without that, you get some chisels or something and beat on it. You may be beating on that for 30 minutes or so, where you can get something like this and knock it out in less than a minute. You do want to take your splash panel off, because you'll need that off to access those bolts in the control arm. That bolt there, trailing end of the control arm, top is a 21, bottom is an 18. Gotta hold one of them. That makes it a little tough. I have my 18 ratcheting wrench leaning against the sway bar end link, and I'm gonna pull that 21 up top with my breaker bar. Put a cheater on there if you like, that'll make it easier. After you get that bolt out, that's it. Ah man, you gotta pry that out, it just don't fall out. Let me get my trim puller and pry that out of there. Alright, I'm gonna pry that out. Next, I'm gonna use this tool to press the ball joint into the knuckle, the new one that is. I slid the ball joint over these 2 rods, like so. I screwed these rods in by hand. Now let me grab the press tool. Once you have that in place, you want to find something like this tool. This tool, of course, is better. That will slide over your ball joint and not damage your ball joint as it drives in the ends of the ball joint, pressing that into the knuckle without damaging the boot. So from there, you can grab a mallet or a hammer, tap that in until it's fully seated. That's how mine look fully seated. Now I'm going to put the control arm back in, since I got the stop installed, and just reverse the installation procedure. When I torqued down my 13s, I lost that little gap I had there, so that's ready to put back up here. I don't have a new dust boot, so I'm going to take this and set this back in the knuckle and thread the axle through there. That bolt torqued down, those 2 torqued down. Your stop bracket goes on like this, swings to the inside to the back, it hits that right there. Now I'm getting ready to bolt the caliper on that. I put a new bolt in there, then I'll put in my ABS sensor and put my wheel back on after I put my outer tie rod in back in the knuckle. This ball joint bolt under here, I had to tighten it. When the one I took off had a T30 hex, the one I put on had a T40 hex. There you have it. The right side is done. This is the first time I ever done it. I did use some air and power tools. One wheel took me 2 hours first time. So maybe an all afternoon task, especially if you don't have these power tools. If you feel that this information was useful, please like it and share it with your social media friends. You can subscribe to my channel so that you will get notifications of future videos that I post. You can follow me on Twitter, and if you need to contact me directly, please visit my website. And if you have any questions, leave them below, and someone or myself will reply to them. Again, thank you very much for watching.